Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Impacted Family and Friends Wellness Workshop Series. My name is Anne Marie Matulis. I am the chair for the Impacted Family and Friends Division of the American Association of Suicidology. I'm on the executive committee of the Massachusetts Coalition for Suicide Prevention. And we're going to be kicking this off rather quickly. Our topic tonight we're doing a blend. It's going to be Dreams Matter, also known as, AKA, the emotional cost of unfinished symphonies that we're going to be doing. Just some housekeeping stuff. I want everybody to keep in mind, please, that everything we do within these workshops is related to suicide prevention and emotional, mental, and spiritual healing. Please note these workshops are not counseling or clinical therapy and not appropriate for someone still in a crisis, whether it's a lost survivor or an attempt survivor, or for that matter, people like me, impacted family who may have a loved one in an immediate crisis. Please let us know in the chat. Either you are watching on YouTube or you're watching on the Impacted Family and Friends Facebook's live stream, or a Voice at the Table's Facebook live stream, whichever site you're on, please go into the chat and let us know who you are, where you're at, where you're from, and you're more than welcome to engage in anything that we're talking about today, and we'll pass that on as we're going through. So the Dreams Matter. Just to give you a little bit of a backstory, if you went to Amazon right now, there are almost 5,000 books with titles of, and the word included is dreams, in the book. And we all know that some incredibly wise people have written about the pros and cons of having dreams and or following your dreams or dreaming. It's not the intent of this workshop to try to top any of that. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. But the thread is to discuss something much more important connected to our dreams, and that is our emotional well-being. Typically, the most common thing we hear, and many of you I'm sure have had this experience, is that when you're sitting down at a table with friends, whether it's the coffee table, the kitchen dinner table, a workshop, whatever, and someone says, well, what did you want to be when you grow up, when you wanted to grow up as a kid? What did you want to be? What was that position? And a lot of people will sort of dismiss, oh, well, it doesn't matter. That couldn't have happened. And by the way, it's too late. I'm too old. There'd be all the pushback that comes through with it. So one of the things we did for this particular workshop when we set it up about 7-8 years ago is we went back and we researched all the people who did things late in life. And some of them may surprise you. One of the best examples we use with this is Sir Paul McCartney. Now, we all know who he is. I think Joseph knows who Paul McCartney is. Okay, we have a thing about musicians and Joseph and young adults. Um, Known for his music skills, obviously. But that isn't what he wanted to do when he was growing up. He would skip school, guess who with? John Lennon, and they would go to a local art museum, and that's how they would play hooky. They would go over there because what Paul McCartney wanted to do was to paint. And everybody, oh no, stick with your music, don't do that. And he went through he put it off. He talks about that he didn't follow that dream, and he just, the self-doubt came in, and after all, the world kept pointing to his genius with music. So in 2002, Paul McCartney held an art exhibit, his art, at the gallery he used to go to after school and play hooky in. And what he has shared so he was in his 40s before he decided to put a brush to canvas. And what he shared is he didn't care if you liked the artwork. That wasn't the point. The point was doing it. The point was putting the brush to the canvas. I also want to tell now, not everybody on this panel may. So some of us remember Little House on the Prairie. Was one of the best known TV shows at the time. And those books were written by Laura Ingalls, and she didn't start writing those until she was in her mid-60s. Frank McCourt did not write Angela's Ashes until he was in his 60s, and Tracy loves this one most of all. Bram Bram Stoker did not write Dracula until he was in his 50s. So we don't need to worry about, I'm too old, it's too late. No, it's not. No, it's not. We're going to turn this over now to Tracy Medeiros, and Tracy is going to facilitate the action part of tonight in going through and allow her guests to introduce themselves, and then she's going to set us off on our exercises this week. Tracy, it is all yours.
Hi. Hi. Hi, everybody. My name's Tracy Medeiros. I'm a suicide attempt survivor. Thank you all for being here and coming here. So are we ready, folks? Simple nod. There you go. Yeah. Because you got to be ready. You want to roll with me. I'm going to tell you that because you're going to go for a ride. Okay. So, here are some examples for the exercise. Okay. Not going to a college trip. I mean a college trip. I mean a college. Sorry, I'm thinking about college and a trip all at the same time. That's probably why it all mushed together. Taking a trip to a particular location, pursuing a very different career, skydiving, which is something I want to do. Writing, running for public office, a marathon, etc. There's no right or wrong response here. So, it's whatever you fancy. You know what I mean? So now everyone here at the table and is watching us through live stream. So let's take about 5 minutes to jot down a few things about your dreams. Right? Remember, this is a safe environment. There is no judgment here. So here are some questions. You ready? 1. Did you follow and fulfill your dream, or is it an unfinished symphony? 2. If unfinished, what were some of the barriers, real or imagined? 3. In this moment, if there were no barriers, real or imagined, what would you still like to do? Kind of think wicked awesome wish list. Okay, so we're going to shut up the video for like 5 minutes. You guys do your little work, and we'll come back. Go. Can everyone hear me? Time to come back.
2-minute warning.
All right, great. Awesome. Okay, so the discussion, right, for the workshop. Everyone here at the table will have 3 to 5 minutes to share something about their dreams or their unfinished symphonies, and one thing from the, if I could, wicked awesome wish list. And a gentle reminder to refrain from crosstalk or critiquing what others share. Respect and celebrate the differences, because we can all learn from those. So here, here are some steps for each participant. Respond to the first 2 questions. Share one item from the Wicked Awesome wish list with no feedback. This is about lighting the fires that jumpstart the energy and enthusiasm to continue to follow the dream. It is also about acknowledging that we all do or did have dreams and still can at any age. It is never too late. Each of us and our dreams do matter. So I'll begin, right? So my thing is was to graduate, go back to school and get a college education. And I'm actually getting a bachelor's degree in psychology, and I'm getting a concentration in addictions. So I'm getting my certification with that. So that's something. I graduate in June, which is like really exciting for me because it's something, that I've always wanted to do, and the other thing is skydiving. That's on my wicked awesome wish list. Doing something like incredible. Yes, I want to jump out of a perfectly well-oiled machine and fly from the heavens and feel free. Not that I don't have enough danger on my motorcycle or anything. So, okay. So, does anybody want to begin after me? Raise your hand. You want to start? Who wants to start? Jackie? Okay, Jackie. Go ahead, girl.
Okay, yeah, I can go because these are my favorites. Some of the exercises I struggle a little bit with, but these are 2 of my favorites. So, in 2011, so 10 years ago now, the town I live in, Joplin, had an EF5 tornado that killed 161 people. And so when you experience a disaster like that, there's a lot of things emotionally that you deal with. But that was kind of when I reevaluated my wish list. And so I was 51. I was just a babe at 51, 10 years ago. So I decided that I wanted to go to graduate school. I had always wanted to go to graduate school. And when I was young, I wanted to go to Case Western and get a combination social work law degree and, all this stuff. But instead, I got married and had babies. So at 51, I decided to do that. So, and then in 2012, my 27-year-old son died. And so I was in school at the time. I did finish. I finished in 2013. And, because I had always wanted it, I also thought about, what was I going to use it for? And I thought I might want to teach. I might want to retire and then, just be like an adjunct professor at a community college or something. And so that left after my son died. And in the job I was in, I felt I could do more to make an impact in prevention, staying in my job. So, and then I got, I had other things like I am also a member of AAS. And so I wanted to present at AAS. Well, this year will be my third year of presenting at AAS. So I'm at the end of my career and I'm kind of struggling right now, trying to figure out what's next. So I'll just say that from my wicked awesome wish list, I want to self-actualize. Isn't that all what we're working towards anyway? So, and what that means is to live up to my full potential. So that's I'll be working on that. So I'll keep y'all updated.
Awesome. Thank you. Tracy, you want to go next?
Sure. So I was a single mom for many years, and I lost my daughter to suicide in 2006. I, had a dream of going back to school myself, and I had started to many times doing night school, and but then I lost my daughter, so I lost all need to, do anything for myself. So in 2009, I decided to go back to school in her memory, get my bachelor's degree in psychology so that I would have, a background in psychology because I also wanted to speak. And so that's my usual dream story, but I have a new one tonight. So when my daughter was little, I had the usual mom dreams of someday she'll get married, have the big wedding and all of that. And certainly that's my unfinished symphony. But I do have a daughter by marriage, and she's getting married in May. And so this past weekend, I went to her bridal shower, and I was very, I had very strong emotions on how I was going to deal with that because, it wasn't Chelsea. And I was very pleased with myself that I actually enjoyed my time. And I'm looking forward to the wedding. I can't guarantee that I won't be a mess as I get closer to May, as I actually show up for that day. But that was a dream that was kind of unrealized, but it'll be realized in a different way because I get help and be involved and, make pretty little table decorations and stuff like that. For my wicked awesome list, I really want to go on a cruise. I've been wanting to go on a cruise for decades. We were almost going to get to go on a cruise with this wedding. And then the cruise line not only, shut down with COVID, but they also decommissioned her boat. So no cruise this year. But that's on my list that I want to be able to sit on the deck and drink a umbrella drink and soak up some sunshine, go to the Bahamas.
All right, cool. Thank you. Rosie.
Hi, everybody. Rosie Wallace-Ever. I am a loss survivor, having lost my only child, Adam, 15 plus years ago, 2005. Certainly at that time, all dreams were shattered. All dreams. And one thing that I did learn during that process was I could dream again. And within that process of dreaming, it kind of set a structure for how I approach most everything. I lost all ability to put anything together. I could barely get dressed after my son died, and everything was a process. And once I put my mind and my pen to it, I was able to not only get through the hour, then the day, then the year, and 15 years later, here I am. So one of my dreams when I was a child was to be a tap teacher. And as some of you know, I do tap. Never thought I was good enough to be a teacher, although I lived with my dance teacher when I was a child. Every summer, she'd take me up to New Hampshire and would spend our time up there at Lake Winnipesaukee. Obviously, I she was like my second mom to me. She meant a lot to me. She just recently died 2 years ago. And unfortunately, I didn't keep in touch with her, but I'm sure she knows now what I've done. Um, I realized my first part of becoming a dance teacher when I was 12 years old, believe it or not. And I didn't even realize this until I got into this process. And we had just moved into a new home. And I got all the neighborhood kids together in my basement. And for 25 cents, you could have an hour's worth of tap dancing in my cellar, in my basement. We put on a recital that year for all their parents. And it was, I remember everything about that. I remember the song, I remember the kids. It was just wonderful. But I really didn't realize that my dream had come true. Many years later, I didn't dance for a long time, probably my late teens to my early 40s, believe it or not. And then I dabbled around with tapping again locally. I moved out of the country. I found a dance teacher where I was living. And I was dancing at age now 50 with 15-year-old kids. It was wonderful. They wanted me to be in the recital. I couldn't do it. That was not in the dream. So my dream continues that I moved out here to Las Vegas about 7, 8 years ago and moved into a senior community where I have become a tap teacher again. And I'm just absolutely loving it. It provides me with so much more than just fulfilling my dream, because obviously I need help on keeping on track, preparing lessons, listening to music, finding the right music, all that stuff. It just helps everything come together. And boy, has it ever. Part of this process is also that I am taking Zoom tap classes from a former Rockette. So my dream has come true in many different ways, and I love sharing that with you all. So far as my Wicked Awesome wish list, it's the Aurora Borealis. I will get there. Don't know where, whether it's Alaska or Norway. I will get there, and I will have eyes to see it. Thanks for listening.
Cool. Thank you, Rosie. Last but not least, my boy, Joseph.
Hello. So, probably my like current dream, which actually I'm in the middle of working on, would be to graduate college and get my med lab science degree, which right now I'm a freshman, if people did not know. So I'm working towards that, but like there's obviously a lot of barriers like with health concerns and also like anxiety concerns and stuff like that. But we just keep pushing forward and hopefully keep working towards it. I keep putting in my hours, getting on the Zoom classes, traveling to campus for lab, so working on it. So I know hopefully in 4 years I'll have my degree. um, so yeah, that's kind of the current dream that I'm working on. But something from the Wicked Awesome wish list would probably be to like be a professional actor in at least one live show one day. Just because I don't know, acting's always been like a passion of mine. I just never really thought to pursue it because people always call it like risky and stuff like that. So I didn't really think it was a good idea to like pursue it as a career option. But I think it would be fun to at least one day in one show be acting. So yeah.
Cool. Thanks. Emery. Hello. Yes, I'm talking to you.
Yes.
Do we have any comments in the chat?
No, we don't.
Bernie?
No, we don't. But I can tell you what I'm really loving about this, Trace, is that when we put this together, first as a complete video recording, but then each of you is giving incredible pieces that we can be splitting up to use moving forward, putting pieces together to inspire and empower and encourage other loss survivors and attempt survivors. because you're being so honest and so genuine. It's just this is the kind of thing you can't script, and it's really nice. And so thank you all for that honesty. And so that's really coming out very nicely. No, we have people out there, but they're shy for the chat.
They're out there. They're shy from the chat. Well, if you're out there and you're shy from the chat, well, come on in and chat, because we're here. We're waiting because we want you to be a part of this. Okay, so the next steps. So everyone is encouraged to select one thing that they can achieve before the next workshop, right? Such as read a book that you put off forever, which is something that I've done. Take steps to begin a wicked awesome wish list or bucket list or whatever you want to call it, your journey. Begin a walking exercise, or maybe just exercise. That's another thing I've been putting off. No, put maybe paint, do some painting, something to be able to say, to yourself, yes, I can, to do this. So Anne-Marie, do we have, I'm sure we got time, right?
Yeah.
Left to go on to the next.
Yep. You want me to set it up for you?
Yeah, wherever it is.
Okay. So we've had this exercise that was called filling the canvas and filling the canvas of life. And one of the things that that we looked at is not that we would expect everybody to paint or be that kind of creative, but to be able to sort of like what we heard early in Dreams Matter. I mean, you take a look at Paul McCartney as he painted the canvas of his life. He continued to put off and put off and put off and put off and deny his passion for painting. And then he finally took that step to do that. So Joseph, don't give up on anything you want to do. And I'll use this because the exercise in here, the backstory to this is really what I learned about myself. And it was really interesting. Painting the canvas of my life in a place that I lived. One of the apartments that I lived in for a long, long time, I turned around and the wall was sort of a soft green. And I got a whole bunch of paint and I did my version of Monet on the whole wall. I never took a picture of it. I never shared it with anybody. And after about 2 months, I painted over it because I'm not sure the landlord would have appreciated it. But that was such a freedom. That was such a freedom. So what is my backstory? And with this backstory, it's going to become where and when did I find that turning point? Because that's what this is all about. And Tracy's going to walk you through what that means if you have never participated in an assist training or you were not she and I actually went up to Canada and spent a week up there becoming assist trainers. And there's a piece of that she's going to talk about. And so I really want you to think about that. You're a blank canvas right now. And you always are, by the way. You never get to finish this. That's the whole point, is that we can change it on any given day. And it's important to take it and paint the bigger picture of life. But first, we have to embrace life. And we need to find that turnaround point. And that's just your gentle setup to stepping in. And Tracy, take it from here, hon.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So if we were holding this in person, there would be blank canvases like all around the room. There'd be paintbrushes everywhere. It'd be a mess. You know what I mean? Fun. Nothing but fun. That's something that Anne Marie doesn't know too much about. That's the fun is me. Okay. So we would have a good time with this, believe me. There's a quote here from Annie Lamont. It's good to do uncomfortable things. It's weight training for life. That's nice. So during the production of the documentary, A Voice at the Table, we realized, that we did not have time to further investigate the turnaround to life journey for each of the 4 attempt survivors in the film. That was another film to be made, of course, and it's applied suicide intervention skills training, in other words, as ASSIST, what Anne Marie was talking about. Living Works Education places a substantial emphasis on hearing the person at risk for suicide story, as well as recognizing and acknowledging the turning point in that story, a turning point to life, to living, going on to live life. The turning point is defined as an emotional charge moment when the life side of the person at risk first starts to speak and emerges from a feeling that their story of suicide has been heard. Signals that safety for now might be possible. For loss survivors, that moment when they first smile or laugh or wake up feeling better. So everyone will take 3 to 5 minutes, same like what we did before. 3 to 5 minutes to share some of the bullet points of your turning point, or bumps, potholes. Of course, potholes only belong in Massachusetts. Along the journey, potential barriers, setbacks, etc. The sharing is the brush that paints your life's canvas and is peppered with shades of what did you do when. So of course I'll begin, I'll kick it off. So my turning point was when I heard Rosie share her story of losing her son, Adam. That was also the first day that I actually said out loud to people that I was a suicide attempt survivor, that I tried to take my own life. I realized that, by wanting to die so much, that I was hurting other people around me, and I didn't realize what I was doing because I was in such a very dark place. And hearing, Rosie share that story of losing her son to suicide, I kind of woke up. It was almost like she was shaking me, like it was like a warning, like, what are you doing? It was that bell that went off in my head, that said, what are you doing? You're doing this to your family, your friends, and I didn't think anything more of it. But from that day forward, I decided to turn my life around and to make it better and to do whatever it took, if that meant listening to the doctors, taking medication, whatever I had to do to make myself better, to get better if it was possible, and here I am still, and I'm grateful for that. And although each and every day is still very hard for me, I still hear Rosie's voice in my head, that story, and that keeps me alive. And I figure, from a loss survivor. The more loss survivors I hear, the more I stay alive, because I don't want to do that to my family or friends. I don't, although I feel that at times I do want to die, I get suicidal, but it's what I do with it now. It's who I talk to. It's how I turn my whole life around. And now I want to go out and, and take care of those who are like me, who that can understand me and that will get what I'm talking about. And hopefully, they can be in a position that I'm in, to stand up and speak out about their suicide attempt and try to live life fully. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Does anybody want to volunteer to go first? I know, Jackie, you went first the last time. Does somebody else want to go first? Rosie? All right, girl. You go.
Sure. Thank you. One of the really tough turning points for me was how I was going to get rid of the pain associated with the fact that my social landscape had changed so dramatically after my son died. I literally had family turn their backs on me, friends just completely saying horrible things and ultimately deserting me. And it was very difficult for me. At first, I kept on going back and saying, I was going to them really seeking help, and they would want to talk about anything and everything except for what was going on between me and them. And ultimately, it was how my son died and the fact that he did die so young. It took many years. It took about 7 years for me to get it kind of clear in my head. And I decided that I would divorce all those people. I had enough. It was like a bad marriage. Seriously, just bad news, horrible news, no news, But I was always going out there to chase them. I needed my family. I needed my friends. Once I decided that I didn't really need them as they were, I was able to kind of drop it and leave it behind me. What this afforded me to do is to build a new social landscape. Coincidentally, it's with most of the people that I divorced. So I'm back with them. It took years of just, I don't know, it was reaching out again, but also the fact that I was able to talk to them in a way that they would have to respond to me. And that was kind of hard for them because really all I wanted to do was talk about my loss, not only the loss of my son, but the loss of the friendship that I had with these people. So over the last, and this went on, well, I was 7 years in divorcing them, and now I'm another 7, 8 years in building those relationships, which is, I got to pick and choose who I wanted to be in my life, people that I thought could help me and keep me on track. Because trust me, my mind can go a little loopy after a while thinking about, just always in the prevention mode or always in the I lost my kid, type of thing. So I'm able to have conversations with them now on, a much better level. Things like, oh, do you remember when Adam did this? Or do you remember, when we all went together here? And, it's kind of celebrating the good times that we all had and remembering them. And not that I'm suppressing any of the bad stuff. It's just it's over there, and it can stay there. Uh, and I know if I have to dive into that pile, I could, but I choose not to most of the time. Continuing positive outlook and a lot of hope for the future.
Thank you. Tracy, you up?
I'm
You
up.
Tracy?
I'm up. Well, like the same with like Rosie, I had a bunch of friends and family just turn their back and walk away. And so through the first 7 or so years after the loss, even though I, went back to school, even though I participated in walks and community events for suicide prevention, I still would have, anxiety attacks. I would still, have nightmares. I would still have my days where I just didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to function and all of that. And it became really hard on anniversary dates and birth dates. And to where I went and I got some counseling, learned some tools to work through those nightmares that I was having, which was very beneficial. My turning point was when and it actually scared me at the time because it was the morning of her anniversary date. And I'm looking at my calendar, I have stuff on my calendar, and all of a sudden I realized that I had planned all these things to do and had totally forgotten that it was the anniversary date. And I had never done that before, and it totally scared me. And of course, it scared, my husband too, because he was like, "What's wrong with you? You know what day it is." Like, I know. But this is so cathartic, the fact that I actually got into the day itself without the week leading up to it, without the dread of getting out of bed that morning, what have you. So once I hit that turning point, that made it easier to go and help others and help them, help the people that haven't found their turning point yet. And I'm not always welcome positively when I say, "Oh, there'll be a turning point, and you'll feel better," and that is what it is. But for myself, I mean, that was really a big moment for me to just be in shock that I could actually get to the day where I wasn't a total mess, you know, thinking about old memories and thinking about just the pain of it all.
Thank you. Joseph.
Hello again. Um, Probably a big turning point in mine was probably, well, my suicidal like thoughts and my suicide attempts really first started when I was in middle school. So it was a lot of like weeks out of school and like going back and forth to places where I still didn't really feel right and I still didn't really feel there. But probably one of my first like big turning points was my first day back at school. I got brought back to school by a truancy officer because I wasn't going to school. But it made me realize how many people like at school actually like were there for me and like cared for me and like teachers that cared for me, and it made me just be like, oh, this is everything I'd be leaving behind if I wasn't here. And so then after that, I kind of just trudged forward, did what I had to do, went to therapy, went to doctors, got what I needed to get done. And yeah, and then so I decided to publish it in a short memoir after a while and kind of put all my feelings down on paper and really like kind of do that as my final goodbye to that kind of period of my life, I guess. Well, period of time. But obviously there's still like times when life's rough, like especially what beginning of my senior year of high school, there was a point where a lot of I don't know, nothing went wrong per se, but I just hit really a low point for no particular reason. It wasn't the best period of time. But luckily I had a lot of friends around me and support for me. And still here, still trudging along.
Cool. Thank you, Joe. Well, Is it Jackie that's last? Jackie?
Yeah, there, trying to turn my mic on. Yeah, I have one story that's very similar to Tracy's, so I think I'm not going to tell it. And I thought of a second turning point. So I was just like every bereaved parent, was just beside myself, a mess. Even had my own suicidal experience. And so one day I had left work and was driving and stopped at a light, and I was behind a vehicle that had one of those memorial stickers in their rear window. And I thought there's something different, about that one. And so I glanced at it again, and it had one date, and it happened to be the exact day and year that my son Dustin died. And so I realized at that moment that they had a child that was born and died on the same day. And I had two dates. And I said, thank you, universe, for reminding me that I not only have two dates, but I have 27 years in between. And that I need to be grateful for that. And so I try to practice gratitude as one of my wellness tools.
Thank you. Thank you, Jackie. Anna Marie. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Do we have any comments? Is anybody there?
Oh, don't even worry about that. Do you know that after
Oh.
last week's broadcast,
Yeah.
that in the 7 days since, that we've had more than 250 people watch it?
Oh,
Yeah.
great.
And to let everybody else know, Tracy's live streams that she was doing on Monday afternoons, one of them reached 1,700 people. And of that, 30% of them watched the whole thing through.
Wow.
So we're making an impact, folks. We are. And what we're going to do with all of these is these are all going to become film. We will leave one of the originals intact for everybody to have, but then we're going to mix and match some of the different live streams and workshops and put things together, and create a library for people who are not comfortable coming to the table still. And we know there are millions of them. So I wouldn't worry about that, Trace, at all, because if this is going to follow the same path as everything we have done in the last month and a half, and all you have to do is go visit the Facebook pages that it's on, or A Voice of the Table seems to have taken up the highest number. But we'll work on, getting all the others out there. This is the start of something big. And I can't thank you all for persevering. I know it's annoying to get the email and they'll say, oh God, it's another email from Amber. She wants us to do something. And I thank you, of course. And I thank you for remember, we're the pioneers here. This has never been done. These topics, the impacted family concept has never been done before. We are groundbreaking in everything we do. So I can't thank you all enough. No, I'll turn it back to you, Trace, to wrap it up.
Okay, great. So I just want to thank everybody for sharing tonight. Great stuff, all great stuff. Is there any final thoughts from anybody or any takeaways that you want to add? No, we're quiet.
No, I was trying to.
No?
I'm having trouble with my mic.
Well, that's because you're from Missouri and you're a Kansas City Chief fan.
I just want to shout out to Rosie because I think what you're doing is just absolutely amazing. And I hope I'm doing as well when I'm, as far along the path as you are. And so I've learned a lot from you, and I appreciate you sharing. But I congratulate you on all your accomplishments through your journey.
One day at a time, girl. Right? Isn't that true? Your mic is muted though, Rosie, so we can't hear you. We're mouthing. I'm mouthing it.
It truly is one day at a time. Every day is different. It's just called life, and we just have to learn a new way of dealing with it. Thanks.
Anybody else? Anybody else have any like takeaways or final thoughts?
I feel like the first half we did the Dreams Matter, it was a lot. I feel like it made me think a lot about like what I want to like do going forward and what I want my life to look like going forward, which was very nice and actually very helpful. And also I also just wanted to thank everyone for like, I don't know, without you guys, like I wouldn't be here kind of in a way. Like you all kind of paved the way for me to even be at the table in the first place. So yeah.
That's nice. That's true, right? You know, I mean, that is true. I wouldn't be here right now if I never heard Rosie speak, right? So, and I got her yelling in my ear every time I have a ticket tape of suicide coming across and I feel depressed and I get, you know what I mean? Because I'm not going to stop feeling suicidal. So it's, I got to find a new turning point every time. And all I hear is Rosie. That's it. She's stuck in my head forever, ever, 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 ever. Just so I can stay on the straight and narrow. At least that's my final thought. Anyway, nobody else. Last chance. Going once.
Wait, I want to let you
twice.
know, Cheryl joined us. Cheryl just joined us. She said,
Where is
sorry she
she?
missed it all. She's in the chat.
Oh, well,
She
you
had
get to
her-
watch the rerun.
Yeah, there you go. All right, I think you have one last thing, Trace, to ask everybody.
What's that?
Look at your paper.
My paper.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, what I'm closing with, right?
Mm.
I knew that. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that. Okay. So it's important to take time and step back and shake off the emotional heavy lifting of this topic that some of us might be feeling. I'm going to ask each of you to share something that makes you instinctively smile. Thank you all for coming to the table tonight, and also everyone who is engaged in this live stream. This is the last session for this part of our campaign, but only the beginning of a 4-month next level. That's crazy, isn't it? Okay, so we will be hosting workshops and closed sessions, and also doing another national series of 7 workshops and a number of other variations. The schedule will be posted on a Voice at the Table website and my personal website within the week. We also hope to have it up on the AAS 365 SoCare and on several Facebook pages. Any questions? You can email director@voiceatthetable.org. Okay, name something that makes you smile quick.
I'll go.
Tracy.
I'll go. So I have this really great little gray cat that when we went to the grocery store, there was this adoption place, and I said, we don't need another cat. And I got talked into getting this cat, and I was like, okay. And this little guy, he has the greatest personality and the greatest little mannerisms. And I totally missed him when I was, gone for 3 days. So he just makes me smile when he walks in the room.
Cool.
Joseph. Yes, I'm calling on
Probably-
you second.
Probably just going on drives with iced coffee. I usually like go get iced coffee and then go on a drive, and I don't know, I just love it.
That's what I do when I get on my motorcycle. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Rosie.
What makes me smile right now is my husband. Number one, he delivered me a nice cup of hot tea while during this process, and he is currently cooking me a delicious salmon dinner on the grill outside.
Nice. All right. Jackie.
Yeah, I said you make me smile, Tracy. You're always enjoyable to be around. But yeah, I like with this warmer weather sure made me smile after my week last week. But yeah, it was like in the 70s here yesterday. I even did a fire in the fire pit, and those kinds of things make me smile.
Yeah. It would make me smile too if it was 70 here, because then I could jump on my bike and go get a nice coffee. Because
Yep.
that's what I do. Okay, everybody. It was good. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. Come again. And
Bye.
yes, Cheryl, the rerun. Take
Thank
care,
you.
everybody. Be good.
Good night.